Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Transforming 45. I'm your host, Lisa Boat. In this podcast, we dive deep into the transformative power of storytelling. I firmly believe that stories have the magical ability to heal, inspire, and connect us. That's why I'm here to bring you the incredible stories of women who have journeyed through life's ups and downs and emerged as their most authentic selves. We'll explore stories of resilience, reinvention, and the courage it takes to embrace change. It's a space where authenticity shines, where the messy and the beautiful moments of life come together to create something truly extraordinary. So, brilliant listeners, get ready for a roller coaster of emotions, a burst of inspiration, and a whole lot of love. Transforming 45 is not just a podcast, it's a movement, a celebration of incredible humans who light up the world. I'm so grateful you are here, and I can't wait to embark on this transformative journey with you. Let's dive in and start transforming together. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Transforming 45. This week, I am welcoming Sarah Haas. She is a woman's weight release expert and body love coach, integrative nutrition health coach, certified personal trainer, yoga instructor, podcast host, speaker, single mom, and cancer survivor. She utilizes a holistic approach to support midlife women in creating overall health, integrating nutrition, body movement, self-love, body love, and overcoming the not enoughness and pushing through fear to grab the kick-ass life they deserve. I love that. Welcome to the show, Sarah. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm so excited to be here.
All right. So, Sarah, here we go. Tell us, who are you and how did life introduce you to this version?
Well, we are all a product of our life experiences. And, they start from day one, from how you grow up, and it just goes on from there, right? So I live in East Tennessee, and I grew up here, moved here when I was 5 from California, and was very much the rural Appalachia. We did not even have running water. We lived in a cabin on a mountain. We grew our own gardens. We didn't have a car. So my upbringing was not typical, I guess you could say. But I think anyone's challenges make them stronger and make them who they are and make them resilient. And that's been what I think has the way that I have lived my life from then on. Like you said, I'm a single mom. I got divorced in my 40s after being married 17 years. I have 2 kids, one of which is a type 1 diabetic, my son, who's 18 now, but he was diagnosed when he was only 6. He was in kindergarten. And prior to that, I had a whole different career. I'm in women's nutrition now and fitness and empowerment, but that was my old life, more of a corporate job. I was in marketing and graphic design. And when my son got diagnosed, that was just devastating, absolutely terrifying. Anyone who's a mom knows when you get a diagnosis for one of your kids, I mean, you would take it 100 times over having them have to have that. But here he is, 6 years old, perfectly healthy. We were living fairly well, eating pretty healthy, not perfect. Definitely there was some places where we could make some improvements, and I dove into nutrition. I went back to school to become an integrative nutrition health coach because I had to learn what was going on in his body and how to get him the healthiest possible and how to give him that healthy foundation so that as he grew up, he would know how to take care of his body. Because type 1 diabetes, there is no cure. Once you are diagnosed, you will have that forever, unless and until they do come up with a cure, which of course I'm always hoping for. But it's something you're going to live with for your life. But the good thing is it is manageable as long as you take care of your diet and your lifestyle. It's not like type 2 diabetes where it can come on because of your lifestyle. It's not like that at all. It's an autoimmune disorder. Anyway, but the management is the same. You have to watch your blood sugars, you have to watch what you're eating. So I threw myself all in. And in the process, we all did it as a family because you're obviously not going to tell a 6-year-old, here, you have to eat this and this and this. And we're going to be over here, snacking on,
Mhm.
tons of crackers and treats and cookies and stuff like that. We all got healthier. I learned so much about myself and my own body. And a lot of the symptoms that I was dealing with started going away. Not sleeping well, being tired all the time. I had a little extra weight. I was able to release that. And just mentally having a more clear mind and having more enthusiasm and energy. And the way that we made our changes was so practical. It was so doable and just logical because it had to be family friendly, right? Kids are not just going to eat, quote, diet food or just everything, all the things. So it was very realistic and doable, and we did it in a gradual way. And I decided, you know what? Like, if I can do this, I can teach this. This is something that women, especially, moms, because we're generally the ones feeding our families, can do. And that's why I went into the work that I did. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's all these fad diets. Everybody wants to lose weight, but they're doing these quick fixes. They're doing the medicines and all the no carb, no fat, all of that. And so I can break through all that. And that's what I do with my clients. We set like a realistic path toward health and wellness. But then life threw me another little curveball. When I was in my late 40s, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And that came out of nowhere because I never in a million years imagined I would get cancer. Me, who was exercising almost every day, who was eating clean and eating lots of vegetables. But sometimes cancer does not discriminate. Sometimes you don't know why something happens. I didn't have family history, so it came out of nowhere, and I was young. I was way on the young side.
Mhm.
And suddenly I'm faced with chemotherapy. I had 20 rounds. I had 25 rounds of radiation. I had a double mastectomy plus 2 or maybe even 3. Gosh, I can hardly remember now. Reconstructive surgeries. It was just one thing after another for 2 years, just hounding me with one treatment after another, chemicals. My body changed, my mind changed. It was such a transformative experience. If I could go back, would I do it again? I don't know, because it was pretty rough. I'll say
Mhm.
that. I wish I could learn my lessons in an easier way, but that's not always the case. That's not always what the divine, the universe has in store for you.
Mhm.
And I've always believed that everything we experience happens for a reason. It's not random. And I don't know why that was my path, but it changed me profoundly. For one thing, I suddenly had time to focus on myself. I was working, I was exercising, I was taking care of 2 kids as a single mom, running ragged, really. I was doing a lot right, but then I was also neglecting self-care in a lot of ways. So I have a good year of downtime. I worked a little bit and I slept a lot. Biggest one of the biggest side effects of going through cancer treatments is fatigue. And that's not talked about as much as, the nausea and losing your hair and that kind of thing, which I did experience, but it's a bone tired. And all I could do was rest, rest, rest. And it gave me a lot of time to think. And
Mm-hmm.
also being faced with your own mortality really makes you start taking stock of what you've been doing, how you've been doing it, how you want to live your life. And one of the things, besides the self-care and the stress reduction that came through, was my own body image and my own feelings about myself. Always had a negative body image from the teen years on, and a negative self-image in general. When you grow up very poor, there's a lot of shame involved, and you don't have the clothes that other kids have, and you don't have a nice car or a nice house, and a lot of that you internalize as I'm not good enough, even though it's completely without of your control and has nothing to do with you as a person. When you're an adolescent and a teen, you always feel like it's you. There's something wrong with you, and you have to try harder and do more and be more in order to be liked and accepted and loved. So for me, that looked like being a perfectionist. That looked like I have to make straight A's. I have to be thin. I have to be pretty. I have to be nice to everyone. I cannot offend or, show anger or, and every duck has to be in a row. And I carried that with me through my adult years with my career and with my body image and the way I was pushing and forcing. And then being in the health and wellness space didn't make that much easier because you're being judged. You're out there, your people are looking to you as an example of health. And that just put like extra pressure on me. And so then when I was faced with this cancer and the chemotherapy, I'm losing my hair, I can't exercise, I lost my breasts. Like all of these were part of my identity. They were part of my shield, to the
Oh, I
outside
do.
world. Like
Yeah.
these are what I present myself with, my physical body and all of those things. And suddenly I'm stripped of all of that. And I did go through some anger for sure, and thinking this was punishment and thinking, oh, that's what I get for being so vain or for caring about this so much. But when I really went within over that period, I started realizing that, there are so many reasons why you are the way you are, and it's not through fault. It's nothing to feel bad about. It's nothing to feel guilty about. You get messages all your life about how you should be from society, from parents, from teachers, from friends, whoever, bosses, husbands, ex-husbands. And it all shapes you. And over that 1 to 2 years, I started thinking about, who am I really? What am I meant to be here to do? I always knew I was meant to be a mom, and I will always be, the most proud of that as anything. But who am I spending my time with? What am I prioritizing? And then coming through to the other side, which I've been cancer free, by the way, for 4 years now. So I'm just thrilled. Yes. And I've rebuilt my health. I rebuilt my health from the ground up, really. I had to start walking slowly, start doing yoga, after all the surgeries, I didn't have much range of motion. I had no strength. So I built myself back from the ground up. And now I'm physically changed. I had a double mastectomy, reconstruction. I have lots of scars. I have radiated skin. I have a scar from my chemotherapy port. I am not physically, obviously, I'm not mentally and emotionally, but I'm also not physically what I was before. And if you had told me 4 years ago what I would be going through and what my body would go through, I would have been horrified, terrified. It would have been unthinkable. The fact that I was able to withstand all of those treatments, come through healthy and thriving on the other side, and rebuild my strength and my health is a huge testament to the power of your body and what it's really there for. And yes, we all want to look our best. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel nice in your clothes and wearing makeup and all of those things. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't in any way mean to say that women shouldn't want to put their best foot forward, shouldn't want to release excess weight if they have it, because we do want to feel good, and that's fine. That's normal. Even animals in the wild puff themselves up and dress themselves up and make their nest pretty. That's a basic living organism condition. But trying to be perfect, trying to make that what everybody sees about you first being the most important, I realize that's not what's important. My body's incredible. It's resilient. It works so hard for me. And I wrote, before my mastectomy, I wrote a farewell letter to my boobs, and I posted it. It's on my blog, on my website. And it wasn't, before, this is very, very deep, very personal, but we all don't feel great about our bodies, and we all want to look at it and go, oh, it could be better. Now I've had 2 kids and da 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 da, they're not what they used to be. But then when you realize was your femininity, these breasts nursed my babies, it's sexual. It's when you're coming into being a woman and going through puberty, that's part of the beauty that unfolds. And so looking at them in a negative light is ridiculous. Same thing with your stomach. Everybody hates their stomach, says, oh, I'm too fat, I have all this belly fat, blah, 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 blah. But your stomach digests your food. In a lot of cases, it carried your babies. I have a scar from a C-section, which saved my son's life, right? We have stretch marks from what we've gone through. And now I have a lot of scars, and I don't look the way I used to. But look what that says about me. Look what those scars, those wrinkles, those stretch marks say about you and what strength you have and what a warrior you are. And your body is just always trying to do the best for you. It's always taking you where you need to go. It's literally putting one step in front of the other. It gets you to work every day. It gets you out and moving and into the world, and your legs power you and hold you and carry you. Your arms allow you to do your work and do things at home and hold babies and give people hugs. So the cosmetics of it all aren't what your body is. And it's really hard to understand that. But now looking back objectively, I don't look as good as I did going in, but I love my body more because of what I went through. And so that has really fueled the way that I work with and coach women, because most of us, let's face it, have terrible body image, and we just want to hate on our bodies and hate on ourselves.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those elements of your story. They're really powerful, all of the experiences and the insights that you've had. And I just last week interviewed a woman, her name's Beth Knight, her episode just before yours, actually. and she's an artist, and she paints very realistic portraits. And she started with herself. And so she painted these nudes of herself and actually put them in the London Underground in the tube stations, which is pretty amazing. But the thing that I loved, because she was also talking about this, about the um, this lack of self-worth, of hating our bodies. And she said, but the thing is that when I went to paint myself, I would have to spend hours looking at my hand and my arm and recreating it. It's like when you spend that much time observing something, it's impossible to hate it because you start recognizing the incredibleness of what that hand is, of all the detail that exists in that hand, of how of the color variations and how beautiful it is when you express it on a canvas. And I'm hearing some of that in your story, which is what made me make that connection, because it is when we really spend time in our bodies, when they are healthy, when they are having health crises, that's when we really start to understand just what a miracle these skin suits are that we are wearing.
Yes, and that is the message that I want women to hear before they have to go through something major that I did. So
Yeah.
I just want to channel my experience and let it flow through and ripple out so that people can hear me and
Uh-huh.
see some of themselves in my story. And it's funny that you mentioned the artist because one of the ways that I really get in touch with and start loving my body is through yoga. I love
Uh-huh.
to do yoga, and it gets you into your body and into the moment. You lose all the stress, you lose all the to-do list, you lose all the looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking about, all of that. And giving each little muscle, each little body part a stretch or a hug or strengthening
Uh-huh.
helps you tap in and start loving it more. And the
Uh-huh.
same thing with self-care, because your body hears what you say to it and it also feels how you treat it. So let's say you take a hot bath or you go get a foot massage or you do dry brushing. All of those things allow you to pour love into your little individual body parts. Just
Uh-huh.
giving yourself a little hand rub and noticing each finger when you're sitting there watching TV. Any time, especially with these little the body parts that we don't give a lot of attention to, like our feet and our hands. All of that puts you in touch with your different parts and helps you appreciate them, and it absorbs that love that you're sending it, and your
Uh-huh.
body will respond in a positive way. Your stress level is going to go down. You're going to rest better. You're going to be in a better mood. You're going to have less anxiety.
Uh-huh.
Cortisol levels go down. So it's kind of amazing how treating your body well mentally and physically helps
Uh-huh.
you love your body more. It's kind of like fake it till you make it
Yeah.
because it's hard to
Yeah.
figure out how to start loving your body.
It is, and it's one of the main questions that people will ask me. I'm sure you're in the same position, and uh, we're in a time now also where I feel like the term self-love has kind of gotten the eye roll that goes along with it, and it is but what I'm hearing in your words is the action, right? It is the actual action that we take. Like we can talk about self-love till we're blue in the face, but it's not the word, it's not that. Like it's not the concept. It is the actual action of it. And that it can be something as simple as just, yeah, pouring a little bit of love, just rubbing your own hand, holding your own hand, right? Like it can be that simple. And it is, I almost feel like it is in the simplicity that there is real true connection. back to the self in those very simple moments. Just recently, someone also asked me, like, how do I keep energy moving in my body? And I was trying to think about the best way to give someone this advice. And at the end of my thought process, I was like, it's just about breath. Like, that's all. It's as simple and as complicated as that. It's just stand with your bare feet on the ground if you can and breathe and just be
That's so
in
true.
and present to your body.
Yeah, and that is the best starting point because like you said, self-love has kind of gotten cliche
Mhm.
and everybody's saying, "Oh, build self-love." And then when women come to me, they're kind of like, "What is that even?" Like, and I remember when I was sort of looking into that, I was like, "Okay, how do I know if I love myself? Like what I guess I do, I don't know." And one of the things is, are you treating your body like you love it? Are you
Mhm.
giving it care? Are you feeding it well? Are you sleeping and resting when you need to? And are you doing little things that like you could just rub some essential oils on?
Mhm.
It can be so simple and that's such a good starting point.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is the mental piece, the mindset piece, which
Yeah.
is harder. It's harder. But
It
I
is.
read a sign.
I just wanted to ask because it connects to the mindset piece. But what I wanted to ask was, do you remember a time when you did love yourself, when you did know your value and your worth?
Not much. No,
Yeah.
over the years, it's until now,
Uh,
and I feel like that's a gift of midlife and I'm
uh,
in my 50s now. And I think that your life experience and doing your work and transforming, I feel like this is our time
uh-huh.
because now we can finally look back because I definitely didn't love myself in my teen years. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't love myself in college. I didn't love myself when I was young and married and when I had young kids. I was always raising the bar and never feeling like I could be good enough.
Yeah. I always just wonder about this because I know that we come in as love, right? And I remember being little and thinking that I was just amazing.
That's
I
true. Now
I
that you
have
point that
memory.
out. Yes.
Yeah, like I have memory of that, of being little and being like, I am amazing. You go, look at me. Look at what I can do. Look at how I can like interact with other people and talk. Like I have that memory. And then I remember some of the events. Obviously, I'm not going to remember them all because there's many in the lives of women that start telling them that they aren't enough. But I remember very clearly those moments or experiences of like, oh, what do you mean I'm maybe not as amazing as I think I am? And then how that changes your mindset.
That's so
Okay.
true. Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because when you ask me that question, I immediately go back to adolescence and teen years. But
Uh-huh.
really looking at, before that, I was outdoors all the time. I
Uh-huh.
ran, I played, I swam, I did all the things, and I felt great about myself. I felt great in my body. You feel awesome when you jump over something high, or
Uh-huh.
you're proud of yourself
Yeah.
when you're little and you learn a new skill. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's really a societal thing that you start getting those messages that you need to be better or you're not good enough.
Uh-huh.
And, we compare ourselves and we take in these little tiny negative messages that come from here, that come from there, these little places. And then we hold on to that and it grows and it magnifies over the years. And I'm so glad that I've come to that realization. Of course, I wouldn't want to go through cancer again, but there were some definite gifts that it
Mm-hmm.
gave me. And one of those is the way that I feel about myself now.
Mm-hmm. Which is really beautiful. And like you were saying earlier, it is the gift of this phase of life. It is the gift of this stage of womanhood. And I feel like this is a question I want to ask people all the time now, that like, do you remember a time when? Because it is a reclamation, right? We have the opportunity now to reclaim that child who knew she was total badass, the most amazing human, and bring that child up to now. Be like, okay, we are going to be this again, because that feels really good.
That's so true. That's so true. And I agree with that now that we're in this stage, that's a huge gift.
Hmm.
Because if you think about it, if you look around at the other women that you can see their amazingness.
Yeah.
You can see, wow, look what you did. Look how you raised your kids. Look what you're doing in your life. Look at your career. Look at what an amazing daughter you are. What an amazing wife you are. What an amazing mom you are. What an amazing, person, what you're doing at work, what you've done with your life, what your beauty. It's just you're incredible and you're strong and look what you've overcome and look at your resilience. We can see that in everyone else, but we
Hmm.
have to start looking at that in ourselves too because we're also amazing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that is why community is so important at always, right? It is one of the things that we are losing in our society, but I do feel like the tide is starting to turn again, where we're realizing just how much we need other people in our lives to reflect back when you are having a moment where you're like, what is this all about? Being able to have someone there to reflect back to you. No, look at how incredible you are. Like, I will hold this for you until you can feel it inside yourself again.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of community.
Oh yeah. It is the beauty of community and also finding other people who are owning themselves and modeling after them instead
Mhm.
of looking at Instagram and trying to compare yourself and try to be better. But
Yeah.
I look at my mom and a lot of the women that she surrounds herself with who are incredible, strong women who have been through life. And they're at the next phase, they're in their 70s and 80s. And now I can see, oh my gosh, like, look how amazing they are. I want to be like her.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I wanted to talk about is with you is something that I find really challenging to talk about, and it is the question of, or the ideas around weight, right? And how that, oh God, I don't even have the words because it's so complex, right? Like, this is a conversation that is so complex. But what I was thinking when you were telling your story is, I wonder if we come at it from a perspective that isn't necessarily helpful. But if we were able to come to it, and it's what I was hearing in your words, from the place of, how do I want my body to function? Right? Like, that is actually what it's about. And the weight element is so hard because there's so much shame around it, especially at this phase of life when our bodies are shifting and changing again. What I am interested in hearing your perspective on is how that mindset shift could help when you really are coming at it from a place of, how do I want my body to function, and how do I feel the most healthful I possibly can?
Yeah, and I actually get this question a lot because and my professional title is women's weight release and body love. And
Mhm.
sometimes people feel like those two are in opposition. Like,
Mhm.
how can you say body love if you're saying we need to lose weight? And you're right, it is so complex. And it's about, yes, it's about the weight is not the problem. The weight is a symptom that
Mhm.
you're out of balance somewhere. It may just be that you don't know what and how to eat. It may be that you are coping with life, with food in some way. It may be that you were raised eating a certain way and now you're so, but excess weight is not your body's natural state. Animals out in the wild are not overweight. Domesticated animals are
Mhm.
sometimes, but your natural state is to be at a healthy weight. And so that is, it's something that we feel so much shame around. And I will see women who are incredible, amazing, successful women, and they don't feel that way because they have so much shame around their weight. And if you look at it as, okay, this is a symptom and we just need to get to the root of the issue. What is it that I need? Do I need the education so I understand how to fuel my body? Do I need to understand negative patterns that are coming up? Am I coping with life, with food? Did I grow up doing that? A lot of the women I work with have had trauma. Well, everyone's had some kind of trauma. There's a big
Mhm.
spectrum, but I see a lot of sexual abuse, emotional abuse, maybe alcoholism in the family, or mental illness with the parents, or absent parents, or extremely strict parents. There's a whole lot of things that we go through when we're young. And a lot of times, food is a comfort. Food is the answer. Food is the way that we survive because we all
Mhm.
have to survive. And we come up with these coping mechanisms, and then it keeps repeating itself in your life. And then it's not serving you anymore. And you have the tools now, but you didn't have them back then. And so the shame needs to go away because the women I work with have been desperately trying to release the weight off and on their whole life. So it's not a moral failing. It's not a
Mhm.
failure on your part. It doesn't mean you aren't trying. It doesn't, we have all these misconceptions and the society's telling us, "Oh, well, I don't understand why you don't just stop eating or you're lazy or whatever." And then we take that in and we think, "Oh, that's who we are." And it's so
Mhm.
not true. It's a million times not true. And there's all kinds of reasons. The food supply is crap. The advertising, it's more expensive to eat well. I mean, there's so many reasons out there that we're
Mhm.
carrying extra weight. But another thing is, I don't know if you've seen the Barbie movie, but America Ferrera had a speech in there, a little monologue. And
Mhm.
one of the things that she said that really stood out to me was, we want to be skinny, but we're not allowed to say we want to be skinny. We have to say we just want to be healthy. And that's true. Now we are so stuck between a rock and a hard place because
Mhm.
we're told by society we should be a certain weight and we're feeling extreme shame if we're not. Yet now, if you say, I want to change my body, I want to look good, then that's considered vain or superficial or something.
Yeah.
So you have to say it as, I just want to be healthy, when both can be true. You
Yeah.
do want to be healthy. You do want to treat your body well. You do also want to be able to do all the things you want to do. You want to
Mhm.
be mobile and strong and be able to hike, be able to take trips. And you want to feel nice in your body. You want to feel comfortable in your body. Most of the
Mhm.
time, when I ask people, what is your goal? It used to be it was always a number. Now they'll say to me, honestly, I just want to feel good in my body. And that means
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different things. It doesn't
Yes.
just mean you want to look nice, but that's part of it. But it also means you want to feel ease throughout your day. You don't
Yes.
want your clothes to be tight and uncomfortable. You want to
Yeah.
slip them on and have them feel good and comfortable and be able to just move about your day confidently and comfortably.
Yes. And I love what you just said there about it being about wanting to feel good in my body and that doesn't have a number or attached to it, right? Because depending on our lived reality and the physicality of our body, there isn't one size that is this is where you're going to feel good in your body, right? And it really is like going back to the rest of our conversation about getting comfortable with this body that we have, knowing how it feels and knowing how we feel best in it. And I think that's a really powerful approach to having a health span that is going to meet those long-term goals of how you want to function in this life for the rest of the time that you have here.
Yeah, I call it the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
So every woman has their sweet spot, and it can be any number, everybody's in a different place. It could be any size, but
Mm-hmm.
getting to that sweet spot is the place where you are comfortable in your body and you feel good about the way that you're eating and not feeling deprived. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you want to say, oh, I'm not going to be happy till I'm supermodel thin, you're also not going to be happy with the way that you have to deprive yourself and go hungry and not enjoy some of the indulgences
Yeah.
we all are going to have some chocolate cake sometimes. you
Yeah.
know, we're
And
all
you're
going to
not
go
going to
out and
be,
eat Mexican food sometimes.
yes, and you're not going to be happy when you get there
You are
because
not. You're
that's
not
not where
going to be
happiness comes
happy.
from. You're
That's
going
not,
back.
that is not a sweet spot. That is also out of balance. That is not
Yeah.
naturally how our bodies are supposed to look. That's not the natural state. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
for 1 in 100, that is their natural state, and that's perfect. That's fine. But for most of us, we just need to find where we are. And a lot of women don't know. They'll say, well, what should my goal be? Where do I want to be? And I say, comfortable in your body, happy with the way you're eating and not feeling hangry and deprived and like you can't have this and can't have that. And also your numbers, your your blood sugar, your
Yeah.
cholesterol, your heart health in line because
Yes.
that's the signal that something's still out of balance. If you're having these issues, if you're pre-diabetic, then something's going on. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what the number is, but you need to address that specific issue. And
Mm-hmm.
when we can get to that sweet spot, and sometimes the sweet spot isn't the perfect body, but who's ever perfect, you know?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And it's just being
That-
happy in it and your body being able to be strong and live long and be healthy.
yes. And this feels like a really sweet spot to wrap up this conversation with that idea. So thank you so much, Sarah. This was a really heartfelt conversation. Thank you for sharing all of your experiences and your wisdom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey today. Your support means the world to me. If you resonated with our conversations and want to uplift the Transforming 45 community, here's what you can do. 1, subscribe and share. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value here, share it with your friends, family, and anyone seeking inspiration. 2, leave a review. On whatever platform you are listening on, your words can make a significant impact and help others find their way to these transformative stories. 3, connect. Join the conversation on my social media platforms. Follow me at lboat for updates, behind the scenes, and more heart centered content. And 4, guest recommendations. If you know someone whose story could inspire someone else, reach out and let me know. I love connecting with diverse voices that carry the power to transform lives. Remember, it is your support that is the magic in my mission. Together, we can create a community of empowerment, growth, and healing. Thank you for being part of the Transforming 45 family. Until next time, keep shining your light and embracing your journey.